it's Komenda here, and today I would like to show you how to make this super fun mixed media card using variety of scrapbook.com exclusive products. And I'm starting with securing my desk with this new silicone mat. It is quite big, as you can see, and it fills my whole workspace. Of course, I have my glass mat underneath, but it's much harder to clean than this one, because this one I can just roll, put it into the shower and wash it to the clearness, especially when it comes to glue. And my glass mat, it's harder to wash because I need to scrub off the glue. So it's like a win-win situation when I know I will be doing a lot of mixed media. So I'm applying a cloud whip paste through the stencil. The stencil is called Wave, and cloud whip is a mixed media paste that can add texture to your project, but you can also mix it with colorful media like reinkers, liquid watercolors, mists to give it some color, and it will hold the shape perfectly. I left my card base to dry overnight because I didn't have time to finish my card that day, and it's dry and I can follow with some other layers. And I wanted to add some blue color, so I just wrapped the surface with Distress Oxide Salty Ocean ink and applied some water for it to activate, to float around, and this way the texture of the waves is beautifully highlighted, and this is how it looks when it's dry. The panel is slightly bigger than my card, so I will need to trim it to the size of the card. And I'm starting with background. This is one of the blue papers from Sunshine Smooth Cardstock Pad. I'm just marking it with the pencil how big it should be. I like to have the white frame from the card base, and I'm adding glue to glue it down to the card base, and this is my first layer, and the second layer will be my mixed media waves. And I will also need to measure it to fit into this card size. I'm starting with trimming two sides to have this one perfect corner, and then I'm using my pencil to mark where I should cut the rest of the paper. With texture paste, I always like to use it on the bigger surface, because on the sides sometimes there are just build-ups, more bulky than on the whole surface, so I like to trim it off. So I always use a bigger paper base than I need, like 1 or 2 centimeters bigger. It doesn't have to be a lot of extra paper. And I glued everything down. I weighted it with with the acrylic block, so it will all stick evenly. And in the meantime, I'm using my Misty stamping tool and embossing ink to stamp 4 of those cute whales, and they are from Whale Hello stamp set. And I'm just, as it's a new stamp set, I'm priming it with some rubber, and I'm ready to stamp my first set of 2 whales. I'm using embossing ink and white embossing powder on top of it, and I'm doing it twice to be sure it's stamped perfectly. That's why Misty is just the perfect tool for stamping, because you can redo your stamping, being sure that it's exactly in the spot that it was added in the previous layer. So I just added white embossing powder, and I will be using my heat gun to activate the powder and to melt it. And I will repeat this process the second time, so I will have 2 bigger and 2 smaller whales. I was hesitant if I should use white embossing ink or black embossing ink or just black ink. I didn't know what to do. And then I noticed that I do not have a black embossing ink. I don't know. I was sure I have one. Maybe I was just intending to buy one and I didn't buy it. But you know, my memory is not the way it used to be 15 years ago. So I decided to go white and just highlight the eye of the whale with black alcohol pen. And this way it will be like popping out. Okay, so you may wonder what I'm going to do with it next. First, I wanted to color it with some watercolors, but then, nah, I'm just too lazy. A thought came to my mind. So I took this Distress Ink pumice tone color brush, and I blended over the whale, starting from the bottom, like the bottom of the whale up, and I left like a top a little bit lighter than the up, and then I will splash everything with water and white gloss spray to add some texture to the whale. But it's already looking quite nice. I don't know, I think whales are gray. This is how they look in my mind. And this is the part when I am wiping my mat, and you can see it coming off really easily. And as I mentioned, I can just roll it, put it into the bathtub, wash it with the sponge. It's much easier than with the glass mat, which is heavy and not bendable. So I am using little brush and a little bit of water to splash over my whales with little droplets, and I'm removing excess ink with a piece of toilet paper, paper towel. And now I'm mixing my white gloss spray. It's a Dina Wakley mixed media product that I use for white splatters, but I'm splashing with the same little brush, and I'm tapping it on top of the scissors because I want to achieve those tiny little splatters. I don't want big blobs. I just want tiny little splatters, and this is the way you can get them by tapping your brush on top of a hard surface. When my whales were dry, I took out my scissors and fussy cutted 4 of them. It's quite an easy, simple process, so I only recorded how I do it with the first one, and 3 others were cut off the camera, so this video won't be too long. And I'm keeping it very close to the embossed lines, but not like super close. I don't want to cut into those lines because they give this fun texture to my whale. And it's still before, I think it's before the eyes got a black little dot. Yeah, and now I added the dot and the whales are ready. My background is flat and dry, and I am ready to mount them on the surface. And I will be using foam dots to add a little bit of dimension, but as I am applying those whales on the mixed media background, I'm adding extra glue under each layer of foam because I don't know, I noticed that those original glues from stickers like to unstick when it comes to this kind of a little bit like chalky surface that mixed media gives. And now it's time to add inscription, and I chose it from the same set that the whales, and I chose whale done because I want to give this card to my daughter, congratulating her all her school achievements, because she's really, really trying her best to achieve the best scores, and I want to praise her for this. And I'm trimming the strip a little bit, creating sort of a fishtail and trimming it to the proper size so it will fit between the whales. And I'm also adding a layer of foam strips to add a little bit of dimension to my project, to this inscription. I don't like to have things flat. After doing so, my final step was to add little drops of this pops of color called Frozen Flurry. It's a transparent, glossy pops of color with a lot of kind of a bluish glitter, so it fits my marine theme perfectly. And I'm just applying it here and there, creating sort of the water bubbles. And I'm also dropping the card 2 or 3 times to flatten them. So this is like, shock therapy for them. So it's not me being wonky and whimsy. This is how the finished card look, and I really love the texture the cloud whip gives to my surface. If you would like to try this page, now is the perfect moment. If you shop in scrapbook.com for another 2 or 3 days, you will get it as a freebie, the small jar of cloud whip, because they are celebrating Work Card Making Day with a lot of promos and freebies. Thank you so much for staying with me. Check the links in the description box if you would like to purchase anything. See you soon. Bye!